The old wardrobe stood in the empty room, a monolith of dark wood. It wasn't just old, it felt occupied, even when I knew I was alone. A silent, watchful presence emanating from its dark, polished surface. Moving into my grandmother's old house was supposed to be a fresh start. A chance to escape the suffocating city, to find peace in the quiet embrace of the countryside. The house itself was a sprawling, charming relic, filled with the scent of aged wood and forgotten memories. Most of the furniture had been cleared out, destined for charity or family, but in the master bedroom, one piece remained. A towering antique wardrobe, crafted from a wood so dark it seemed to absorb light. Its doors were adorned with intricate carvings of intertwined branches and unblossomed flowers, the kind of detail you rarely see anymore. The real estate agent had shrugged, saying it was a built-in, too heavy to move without dismantling, and besides, it added character. I agreed. It certainly did. It dominated the room, an imposing, silent sentinel. I cleaned it, polished its dark surfaces until they gleamed, and decided it would be perfect for storing my clothes, a beautiful piece of history to anchor my new beginning. I hung my freshly laundered shirts and folded my sweaters, tucking them away into its deep, fragrant interior. The wood smelled of cedar and something else, something subtly earthy and ancient, a scent that lingered even after the doors were closed. At first, the sounds were easy to dismiss. The creaks and groans of an old house settling, the wind whistling through drafty window frames. But slowly, subtly, a pattern began to emerge. Faint whispers, like dry leaves skittering across a wooden floor, seemed to emanate from the wardrobe, particularly in the quiet hours of the night. I'd wake, heart thrumming, convinced I'd heard my name or a soft, sibilant sigh. I'd sit up in bed, straining my ears, only to be met with silence. Just the old house, I told myself, just my imagination running wild in a new, unfamiliar place. Then came the cold. A distinct, localized chill that would settle around the wardrobe, even when the rest of the room was comfortably warm. I'd walk past it and feel a sudden drop in temperature, a prickling sensation on my skin, as if an invisible breath had just exhaled beside me. I tried to rationalize it. A draft from a poorly sealed wall, perhaps, but the chill never moved. It was always there, clinging to the dark wood. The visual anomalies were harder to ignore. I'd meticulously close the wardrobe doors each night, ensuring they clicked shut, yet I'd occasionally wake to find one of them slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness peering out. I blamed the uneven floor, or perhaps the old latch giving way. I started checking it multiple times before bed, even placing a small piece of tape across the seam, only to find it peeled back, the door once again, just barely open. Not enough to notice immediately, but enough to register the wrongness. One evening, I placed a small antique clock on top of the wardrobe, a sentimental piece. The next morning, it was on the floor, perfectly intact, as if gently lifted and set down. No sound of it falling, no obvious cause. Just there. I remember staring at it, then at the vast, dark expanse of the wardrobe, a cold dread beginning to coil in my stomach. It wasn't just an old house, something was actively interacting with my space, and the wardrobe felt like its epicenter. I started to feel watched. Not constantly, but in fleeting, unsettling moments. A peripheral glimpse of something that wasn't there, a sense of heavy scrutiny when my back was turned. I found myself instinctively avoiding looking directly at the wardrobe, especially in the dark. It became a blind spot in my own home, an area I navigated around, my eyes carefully fixed on other things, even as I felt its presence hum at the edge of my perception. The whispers grew clearer, more insistent. They were never distinct words, just a guttural murmur, a low, rhythmic thrumming that felt less like sound and more like a vibration directly within my skull. It seemed to pulse, to beckon. I'd find myself drawn towards it, standing before its dark, ornate doors, an inexplicable urge to open it, to finally confront whatever lay within. My hand would tremble, reaching out, only to snatch back at the last moment, a primal fear overriding my curiosity. One afternoon, while tidying the room, I caught my reflection in the highly polished panel of one of the wardrobe doors. For a split second, before my brain could fully register, I saw something else behind me. A distorted, elongated shadow, impossibly tall, with thin, spindly limbs. It wasn't me, and it wasn't a trick of the light. It was a shape, a presence, utterly alien and utterly terrifying. I whirled around, heart pounding like a drum, but there was nothing there. Just the empty room, the afternoon sun streaming through the window, and the silent, dark wardrobe. The air around the wardrobe began to feel thicker, heavier, imbued with an oppressive stillness that choked the natural sounds of the house. It wasn't just old wood anymore. It felt alive, breathing, almost sentient. Its dark carvings seemed to shift in the dim light, the unblossomed flowers twisting into unfamiliar, grotesque shapes. The whispers were no longer just whispers. They were a low, resonant hum, a vibration that seeped into the floorboards, up through my feet, and into my very bones. The room, which once felt spacious, now seemed to shrink around it, the wardrobe growing, expanding, consuming the space. Sleep became a luxury. Every night, I'd lie awake, staring at the closed doors, waiting. Waiting for the hum to intensify, for the chill to spread, for the undeniable wrongness to finally reveal itself. The house itself seemed to hold its breath, caught in the wardrobe's silent, oppressive thrall. And then, one night, it opened. Slowly, silently, both doors swung inward, revealing not the neatly folded clothes I'd left inside, nor the cedar-scented interior I remembered. Instead, it was an impossible space. A room. An exact replica of my bedroom, down to the same faded wallpaper, the same old rug, the same antique clock now resting on a bedside table I didn't own. But it was wrong. Horrifyingly wrong. The colors were muted, drained of life, and the light that spilled from it was not natural, but a sickly, pale green that seemed to cast long, impossible shadows. And standing in the center of that mirrored, desolate room, facing directly towards me, was a figure. It was me. Or a twisted, skeletal parody of me, its eyes black, devoid of pupils, its mouth stretched into a silent, agonizing scream that echoed not in my ears, but in my soul. It didn't move, it just stood there, unblinking, unmoving, a horrifying mirror of my own terror, an invitation to step into a reality that was utterly broken. The doors are still open. The mirror image of my room and the silent, screaming figure are still there, waiting. I haven't been able to close them. And I haven't been able to look away. Sometimes, I catch myself reaching out, a strange, terrible longing pulling me towards that fractured reality. It calls to me, just like the whispers used to, promising a reflection of myself I never knew existed, a silent, eternal companion in the pale, green light. What secrets lurk in the unseen corners of your own home? Sometimes, the most innocent objects hide the deepest dread. If you've ever felt a chill you couldn't explain, or heard a whisper that wasn't there, share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Dark Stories for more tales that lurk just beyond the veil of reality. We'll be waiting.